Welcome to the Assist Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Schwartz, and joining me today for a NBA type of recap season, it's further along than you think it is, about 30 games in for some teams, and, there's only, I forgot the amount of games that the season is this year. It's not 82.
72, I think. 70. I think so.
There you go, 72. Yeah. You heard his voice. It's the great Salvador Corona joining me again.
Hey, guys. I'm glad to be back. It's been a while.
It has been, yeah. I took another one of my pauses for schoolwork and all that jazz, but, getting back into the thick of it is spring sports. Yeah. So, and of course, the NBA is, as always, just ever so interesting. James Harden got dealt. We haven't talked about that yet, but we can fold that into our Nets conversation.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack.
Yes, there is. So, I guess we can just get right down to it. Starting in the East here. This is not the East I expected. With Philly on top, Brooklyn in second, obviously, with the James Harden coming over from the Rockets for a bounty of players. Actually, in a 4-team deal, if I recall correctly. Boston struggling at the 5 seed, didn't see that coming either. And the New York Knicks and the Tampa Bay Raptors, which is
Toronto
Raptors, but Tampa Raptors, are all in the playoffs, also Charlotte as well. We're both fans of teams in the East that are not making the playoffs this year, it appears. So, what are you seeing, with the East? I just gave 6-7 teams, so take it any direction. Just if I throw East at you, what are your biggest things that you've been watching and seeing?
So I think just right off the bat, the biggest surprise is Sixers. Like you said, those top 3 teams, I expected them to be at the top, but not in that order. I expected Milwaukee 1, Nets 2, which they are 2, and then Sixers 3. But Sixers being the top team, it's kind of surprising. And I think this year, watching them, because I've watched them play a lot of games, surprisingly, because they've been in a lot of primetime games like TNT Thursday nights and stuff like that. They're a solid team. I think each player is finding their role more this year. Obviously, Embiid's having an MVP season, but players like Tobias Harris are really fitting into the system that they've implemented there, and then even Ben Simmons, he's a Defensive Player of the Year front runner right now, and that's crazy. Coming into the season, I would never thought he was even going to be talked about. I don't know. I didn't. Maybe that's me not watching the Sixers in the past, but I didn't see him much as a defender, a lockdown defender. He was thrown here and there. Obviously, he's a big guy, but like Defensive Player of the Year, never in my mind would I imagine he would be in the talks for that.
Yeah, because last year it was Giannis, it's Kawhi, it's Anthony Davis, those type of guys, and maybe Simmons had that athleticism, which would make him like a 6'10", or not 6'10", but whatever height he is.
I think he's 6'10". Is he? All right. He's up there.
The 6'10" point guard type thing, so I guess the tools were there, but now it seems like he's fully put it together this season, and it's good because he still can't shoot.
At least he's doing something. Yeah, no, you're right.
The Sixers fans in my life who are just they send me the 3-point videos him in practice over the summer. We gotta stop that now because it's obvious he's just not working on the 3-point shot.
I don't know how Devin Foster's feeling about the season.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. He's the one that sends it to me. He's just he goes well, he still can't shoot threes. So how many threes is he really making in practice? So something interesting though with the Sixers, and I guess we can tie in the Nets here a bit too, is that they were another big contender for James Harden, a couple weeks ago. And there was a lot of talk because Simmons was probably the best player on the table, if he was ever on the table, but that fans or the rumors were that Simmons could be on the table for Harden. It's working out. The Sixers are the 1 seed. Granted, they're not in dominant fashion the 1 seed like somebody in Utah is over in the West. There's a big difference. Philly just 19-10, but like I said, still the 1 seed. Was it the right call not putting Simmons on the table with another player or pick or so for Harden, do you think?
Right now, like you said, they're number 1, so you can't say it wasn't the right call. But I think later on, playoffs, when you need scorers and you're up against these teams that, let's say, make it to the finals, but probably just Eastern Conference Finals, they're probably going to be up either the Nets or the Bucks. They need someone else than Embiid to score. Who are they going to go to?
Right.
Yeah, so I feel like that's when they're maybe we should have put Simmons on the table and picked up Harding and let some other guy go, and then we would have a scorer there. But right now they're not regretting because they're top of the East. It's not pretty, but they're top, and that's all that matters. And everybody's playing well. So right now it looks like it was a good move by them to just keep their team as it is. But I think later on they'll regret it.
Right. And I think it's really interesting, too. You mentioned, a lot of times we talk about centers and stuff like that, how it's diminishing. Centers aren't as important as they used to be 10, 15 years ago, but still. I mean, when you have your MVP stud and Joel Embiid coming out and doing that, I mean, and then a potential finals team has someone like Anthony Davis, they've, with the Lakers, that level of defender, Giannis on the Bucks. Like, it should be interesting to see how, Embiid finally breaking out like we all thought he could. For this team. Let's see how the playoff version of Embiid is. And, of course, Harden isn't even that great in the playoffs, which leads me to the Brooklyn Nets. Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden. I mean, big three, everything like that. Back again, we thought this year and last year, too, would be the big twos, right? So that's what the league has transitioned to. But now a big three in Brooklyn. I have reservations with this team. The only thing to me, I mean, the East, as we've covered and have covered for however many years now, is shoddy compared to the West.
Yeah.
And Kevin Durant is the best player in the East. I'm sorry, Giannis. Kevin Durant just is when he's at his peak.
Yeah, when he's at his best. When he's at his best, he's better than anybody, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's outclassed LeBron in finals before. So he could easily pull this team through and just be like, James, Kyrie, this is what we're doing, and whatever. Like, this is what's happening. James, you want a ring? This is what we're doing. But I still have some reservations with them.
And I think you're right. And I think in the regular season, we're not going to see that because obviously it's the regular season. Why put this effort for no reason to win a regular season game and just whatever? I don't think we're going to see that level of KD where he's just got to step in the regular season. But I do think come playoff time, it's hard to bet against them. Because, like you said, KD is one of the best ever. So, at the end of the day, if he sees Kyrie or Harden are not pulling their weight, he's going to be like, okay, like, get off to the side. It's me time to take over. So, he might save him. And then, like, even though we talk our crap about Kyrie and Harden can score.
Yes.
He can score, so maybe let's see if he gets over this playoff curse he has because he's been trash in the playoffs. Maybe this is a year, we don't know, but it's hard to bet against that team with the players they have.
Right, and Harden is, I mean, we're giving crap to Harden about his, playoff failure, stuff like that, but then again, that's when he was the complete number one option, right?
Yeah.
In Houston.
True.
So now that he is not, and I think even when Durant and James Harden were in OKC, right? Harden was coming off the bench, and Kevin Durant was either number one or number two scoring option to Russell Westbrook. So they've been in that dynamic before of Kevin taking over for Harden, but Harden is the number two scorer. I mean, outside of how you classify LeBron and Anthony Davis, is the best number two in the league. Which then brings up the Kyrie Irving question and how he's had probably one of the weirdest superstar seasons that I could think of recently that hasn't been due to injury or something else along that vein.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Kyrie. It's just like something's up with him, and it's personal issues or issues. At the beginning of the year, it was stuff with the media. He's like, I don't want to talk to the media this year. They're just out to get me or out to get us. And then, I don't know, that was kind of resolved. Not resolved, but he kind of got over it, and then he talked to the media, and then he took some, like, a week or two off for personal issues. And he hints at stuff about just the political climate of thing and the social climate of the season and stuff going on with the world, which is obviously more important than basketball. But at the end of the day, it's your job and you're getting paid millions to do this. And many kids look up to you, and you could use your platform better on the court than off the court. I believe so. But a lot was going on with him, and I don't know. Like, I don't know to say if it's not gonna happen in the playoffs or if he just kind of wants to like ease his way into the season, not having to like work as much and not having to like put too much effort, and then come playoff he's gonna be Kyrie like he was in the Cavs. I don't know what's gonna happen with him. It's very strange.
Was there an issue though when he did leave that he didn't tell the team or anything like that? And now is the big issue is that, okay, we get it with the social climate and political climate, and especially over the last year, what it's been like, but also, like, I mean, think about it in terms of someone with a regular working job. If you don't tell people you're not showing up to work, you're gonna have issues. Yeah,
and he got fined for not telling, but he was caught at a party or a social gathering, and obviously they couldn't do that. Because the league, they're trying to lock down on doing other activities outside of like basketball and being with your team. So he said he had personal issues, and then he didn't tell them exactly what the issues were, and then he never reported back to them. I think that was the issue. He told them, I'm going to take a day off or two, and then he just didn't follow up. Like, they're like, hey, Kyrie, like, so are you coming back? And nothing from Kyrie.
Got it. Okay.
And then, like, something came out, he was at a social gathering, and then he got fined because the NBA could fine him. Like, you miss, and the salary he was going to get paid for those games got taken away from him.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because he was... Usually they don't do that if you get injured or something, but if you're, like, not following the rules and stuff like that, that's when they...
Right. Speaking of some of the NBA's COVID struggles as well, can you believe they're going to go through with this All-Star game?
Yeah. I heard that. That's dumb.
It's the dumbest thing ever. Even the NFL was like, we don't need the Pro Bowl. Yeah. We're good. And the NFL does not give a crap about their players.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
I mean, is it is one of the probably the other than the finals, the most watched game though of the year? Is that what they're thinking? Do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what especially they had struggles with viewership, so I feel like they could really garner a lot of support by doing this. But I think there's been a lot of pushback because hopefully everything goes well. But if something doesn't go well, and like I don't know, there's an outbreak or I don't know, the season gets postponed more because of this. I don't know. It's just not a smart idea for them to do that.
Could you imagine the league's 24 best players getting COVID?
Imagine. Where is the All-Star game this season? I don't even know.
Is it Atlanta?
Sounds right. That sounds right to me.
Let's see, 2021. I'll look it up here. Once again, need to hire a stat guy.
But yeah, I think they should have done something. Not bring out all the players. Whatever, they should still have maybe like a 3-point contest, dunk contest, because it's still that's what 10, 15 players max. But right now they're going ahead with the All-Star game and the rest of the stuff. So I don't know. Like just to guess, like 50 players are going to be probably involved in this week in some way or another, with a bunch of other people, and I don't know how they can find a way to make this safe, especially in Atlanta.
Yeah, so, yeah, exactly.
They don't give a crap about COVID in Georgia.
Yeah. No, having just been there, no, they do not. Tell that for sure. March 7th, so Sunday, March 7th in Atlanta, and then it looks like they're mixing all of the activities. So, like, it's all the same day, I think, because it says 5 p.m. tip-off, skills challenge, 3-point contest, and then the All-Star game begins at 8, and then slam dunk is at halftime. So if you condense it all to one day, COVID's canceled. That's how that works. Well, they also say it's supporting HB.
That makes it even worse because they could like split it up and make okay. So if the people doing the dunk contest get it, it's only them. But now it's like we're all put them in the one day, so a group of them gets
one of them tests positive. Yeah, it says it's going to be supporting HBCUs, a very worthy cause, and then support awareness. This makes me laugh. Support and awareness around equity and access to COVID-19 care, relief, and vaccines. Great. Great.
This is one way to do it, by having a large gathering of people.
I mean, people were criticizing the Super Bowl in Tampa for stuff that happened, and like, why are we having such a big event with a football game, stuff like that. But like the Super Bowl was the culmination of, if you look at it, a pretty successful season for the NFL. I mean, no one had to cancel games, anything like that. There were some postponements and some weird days, but everyone was kind of like, why don't we do more football on Wednesdays anyway? Yeah. Type thing. But like, this is outside of any consequence for the season. Like, I just don't understand. I really don't.
This is not necessary, and obviously it's I wonder how the players feel about it, because we've heard from the fans, but I don't think I haven't seen any like.
Did LeBron say something? I thought LeBron said something.
Maybe I missed it.
I'll look.
But yeah, I haven't clearly seen any pushback from there. Maybe they spit. I wonder what their take on it is, because I feel like some players want it just because. Oh, actually, I did hear a player say it was dumb, but it was. I forgot which player it was, and people were giving shit. They're like, "Oh, you just don't want the All-Star game to happen because you're not going to get selected anyways." I forgot who it was. It was like a borderline All-Star player.
So, okay, so this was February 4th. So it was a couple weeks ago. LeBron said, quote, "I have zero energy and zero excitement about an All-Star game this year. I don't even understand why we're having an All-Star game. I'll be there physically, but not mentally." I love how he just assumed he would get selected. Which, I mean, he's right. Yeah. Let's see. And then he said, and then coming into the season, well, especially for them, because the Lakers played all.
Well, see, that's another point, because like, we think about it with the COVID perspective and canceling and leading to more postponements of game and whatnot, but we didn't think about it like the toll it takes on the players. Already it was a rush season, and having them do more activities instead of like taking that week to, I don't know, just take a break, you know?
Yeah.
Take a break, fuel up for the second half of the season.
Yeah, and he went on to say, like they thought they'd have some time to recalibrate for those 5 days and get a little break. And then he said they throw an all-star game on us like this and just breaks that all the way up. So pretty much kind of a slap in the face, and also we're still dealing with the pandemic and stuff like that. So yeah, you'd think if LeBron said that, they'd be like, okay, never mind. But they're still going on. Like that's interesting for such a player centric league. So and then. So drifting back to the bottom of the Eastern Conference, which is getting really muddy here. We got LaMelo Ball in a playoff spot, and also the playing
Rookie of the
game
year,
as well.
Possibly.
It's true.
He's playing is better than any other rookies.
So this is the first year as well. We have to remind that people that they're doing the playing games again, which is 7 through 10 seeds, right? Which is good for the defending runner-ups, the Miami Heat.
Yeah, that's a surprise right there. I don't like even. Me that had their judgments about the Miami Heat's run last year and how I think it was a culmination of everything coming and working perfectly and being in the bubble environment, everything just working in their favor. I think that's why they ended up being in the finals. I still believe before the season, thought they were a good team. Top 4 team in the East, but they're not showing it this season.
No, they're in 11th place, a half game above your Orlando Magic. And yeah, I feel like too, like people, especially down here, we hear a lot of Miami fans who just kind of run a little crazy with what their expectations are. You know, we heard a lot of things after that finals run, but that you'd really think about Jimmy Butler as a microcosm of this team, right? And that Jimmy was almost the perfect bubble player, right?
Yeah.
And that type of Miami team's the perfect bubble team where they just lock in and focus, and that's not there anymore. And they also probably have a bit of a hangover because they played so long as well. And,
I know Tyler Hero and some of the other players, I only know this because I have him on my fantasy basketball team. He's been out of, different weeks for several days, COVID protocols and injuries and this, that, contact tracing. I know they haven't, I don't know exactly what numbers, but I feel like they haven't had a full week of their full team being healthy and playing. So that could play into it. But I don't know. I think they still should be out there, especially with the other teams that are doing well in the East, like the Knicks. Come on.
Yep. Knicks in the 6th seed right now.
That. I mean, good for them. Like I said, I think I told you this before. I want to see the Knicks do well. It's just from the basketball standpoint, seeing the Knicks in the top 8 teams in the East, it just feels right, you know?
Yeah, Julius Randle throwing up a 23, 11, and 5.
That's
amazing. Pretty out of nowhere there. And RJ Barrett also starting to come on a bit there for the Knicks. Yeah, I mean, they're in a playoff spot right now. Like I said, Toronto, Charlotte with LaMelo Ball, probable rookie of the year with Anthony Edwards and stuff struggling as well. Where are you at with Boston? They're in 5th right now. Which is a disappointment, I think, for what they expect.
No, yeah, and I think they're a bit shocked too, and they're kind of at an urgent standpoint where they're like, okay, we need to do something with this team. I've heard a lot of rumors with them adding players. I even heard Blake Griffin possibly going to the Celtics, but I believe they do need another player there to help, help lessen the toll on their team. It's very top heavy. I feel like the Celtics, and I'm surprised they're where they at in the standings right now, but I feel like they'll figure it out later in the season too.
The Kemba Walker transaction just it's not great. It has not worked out there with him at point guard. I know a lot of it's been injury related, but it's not like he didn't have injuries in Charlotte coming into his Boston tenure.
No, yeah, it hasn't. I mean, we saw it in the playoffs, in the bubble. We were kind of waiting for, all right, Kemba, time to take over, especially with the Heat. All right, Kemba. Just wasn't there.
Right.
It's your moment to shine, Kemba, and he just didn't deliver.
Right. I feel like this is almost for Boston right now. I mean, obviously they have Jaylen Brown, who's really played very well this year. He's been a big shining bright spot for them. And Jason Tatum's going to be one of the best players in the league for a long time. But with that collection of picks they had with the Nets picks, from the Kevin Garnett trade years ago, and how they had all these different picks, and they were still doing really well. You know, they're still making runs in the playoffs and stuff like that. It almost feels underwhelming with the East, how the East has been playing out recently, where Boston every year is just the third best team. And it's like Brooklyn all of a sudden just bam, just hops them, and when you think they're getting close to being Milwaukee. Sixers, same thing. Like it almost just feels like Danny Ainge didn't push his chips in all the way, and he's going to end up regretting. And the one chip he did push in, Kyrie, now is going to be the leader of a team that's going to be a direct competitor.
Exactly. I think he's thinking about that definitely this year, especially like you said, he's seeing these teams that they would pass through without even thinking about it, and now they're competitors to them, and now they're the short end of they're getting the short end of the stick with these matchups. And I don't know. Hopefully I like the Celtics as a team. I like them as an organization. I like Brad Stevens. I feel like he's a great coach.
Yeah.
So I hope it works out for them. That's one team that for sure is going to be busy in the trade deadline.
Yep.
Hopefully they are.
I know the Pistons, you mentioned Blake Griffin, are talking with Blake
to
either buy him out or something like that, which, I mean, it's only NBA jersey, I know, but, I mean, it's about time.
Yeah.
Pistons are 8-20. It's about time for him to go in and play 20 minutes as a 4 who can pass and stuff like that. I mean, Blake's still pretty good if he's not the superstar of the team.
Yeah. I saw something, like his stats, and he has, like, shooting guard level stats or something like that. Like he plays like a shooting guard. He doesn't play like a power forward. Like his rebounding is pathetic.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, the problem too is that the team doesn't really make a lot of sense anymore.
Yeah.
Because they signed Mason Plumlee, sorry, mixed them up. They have like 3 different centers. I don't know, it just didn't stop making sense. So he has no space. Jeremiah Grant, who's better as a 4, but yeah. Blake 30 minutes, 12 a game. He only has 2 rebounds a game.
Yeah.
Oh wait. 5 rebounds a game, sorry.
Still bad for a...
Yes, pretty bad. But yeah, so I mean, well, I think he can still contribute though, in some vein on to
another team. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. The biggest beneficiaries of the LA Lakers taking the regular season off, the Utah Jazz.
Yeah.
Who hold the 1 seed in the West, and you'd be like, wow, that's stunning. It's like, well, they may not be the best team in the West, but how good is Utah really? Do you think?
They're a great regular season team. That's all I'm gonna say.
They've always.
It's like one of those teams. They're gonna be sneakily top 4 in the West every year. I don't know why. Come playoffs, I don't know. They just don't have it. Especially with the West, it's so tough. And many of these teams, like you said, in the West, like the Lakers, the Clippers, they do tend to take the regular season off a bit. They like slow down, and they know when to like turn it up. So, not that being number 1 doesn't mean anything, but it kind of doesn't mean that much in the West. When you have teams like the Lakers and the Clippers, knowing they're not putting their full effort in.
Right. So, and my thing with the Jazz here, right? Their best player is Donovan Mitchell, right? Rudy Gobert is always he's a great defensive player, great rebounder, but always an iffy play, right? In the postseason with the centers and stuff like that at sometimes against some teams, right? So, number 2 in the West right now, the Lakers, obviously, LeBron AD versus, just looking at star power, the best player, right? Donovan Mitchell versus those 2. Okay. It's an L. That's a loss.
Yeah.
Clippers, Kawhi, Paul George. Even though I question Paul George all the time, still an L.
I do as well, yeah.
Portland, 4 seed, Damian Lillard, L. Then you get to Phoenix and like Devin Booker. Then we're talking about.
Then it's a little bit closer, but still.
As a 1 seed though, like that, you would expect the 1 seed to go ahead and stomp out a 4 seed like that. So it's going to be really interesting to see which Utah finally shows up. And I believe they make the playoffs every year as the 4 or 5 seed. Yeah. They win 1 series maybe, and that's it, right? Have they ever? They've never been to the conference finals.
I feel like in the past 10 years.
In the past, well, obviously with Stockton and Malone, they were in the 90s, but yeah.
I feel like I just remember seeing back when Kobe like making a finals run. I think they went like Jazz and Lakers were in a conference finals.
Was that Carlos Boozer? Was that those teams?
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay, maybe. But I guess the Donovan Mitchell Jazz. I guess I'm saying
Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Jazz. No.
Okay, so Lakers. I think we've already hit on it. I'm just saying right now. I think they're going to win the title again. I know it's hard to go back to back, but I think the Lakers got better from last year with Dennis Schroeder and stuff like that. And like I said, they're literally taking. I mean, Anthony Davis is out now for a couple weeks, but they've been coasting as LeBron coasts, and they're still 22-7, the second best team in the league.
No, it's crazy how good they got. Like they were a great team last year, and then they're like, okay, they took everything that they could improve and got rid of it. Like, oh, Danny Green we're going to get rid of him. They upgraded with Wesley Matthews.
Yep.
They got rid of Rondo and updated with Dennis Schroeder. Like, they just got better.
JaVale McGee to Marc Gasol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a great team. Like, and come playoff time, they're just going to get better.
Yeah.
Locked in.
Clippers, I'm just like, I want to see it for Paul George in the postseason. I know it's simplistic, but I think I've probably talked about that before last year. We probably talked about it, and I'm still the same way. Like, it's just, I don't think I was gonna ever learn much from the Lakers and Clippers this regular season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, going down, Portland, Phoenix having seasons taking a bit of a step up that I think we expected from Damian Lillard, and of course. The Phoenix Suns with getting Chris Paul as well.
I expected the Trailblazers to be up there for sure.
Yeah.
Just obviously Damian Lillard and other players they have. It's kind of it's their time to be up there. Last year they sneaked into the playoffs obviously because of the play-in and whatnot. And then they got destroyed by the Lakers first round. But it's a team with usually these teams that are good competitors in the playoffs have that one guy.
Yeah.
And they have the one guy. You can't make it deeper in the playoffs without having that one guy, and Blazers have that one guy.
100%. And Nurkic is back to full strength there too as well, which is really big. And then Devin Booker and Chris Paul taking a step forward as expected in Phoenix.
Yeah, Chris Paul I saw a tweet. It's like, I think it was this guy. He's just trying to be funny. He's like, I think at this point even Chris Paul could save my marriage because he goes wherever, and except obviously the Rockets, but. Last year with OKC, no one expected them to be 5-6 seed, and somehow they ended up being a 5-6 seed in the playoffs. And then this year again, people expected the Suns to be pretty good, but they're playing really well. And I think that team, it's just a fun team to watch. You don't expect much out of them, but it's a good team to watch.
Yeah, I always have a soft spot for the Suns because of the Steve Nash, and then the cool jerseys they had when we were growing up. I was just like, I don't know, it's fun when the Suns are good. Yeah. I think, in my opinion, too. Spurs taking advantage of other potential contenders' deficiencies, as they always seem to do, which is pretty stable. I have no
idea what's going on in the Spurs.
Let's see.
DeMar DeRozan's still balling there probably, right? That's it.
And LaMarcus Aldridge, right? Let's see. Yeah, DeMar DeRozan, 20 a game. DeJounte Murray, the point guard, leading the team in rebounds, which is interesting. And DeRozan at 20 points a game, 7 assists as well. DeJounte Murray looks like he was out last year, I believe. And I think him coming back is probably pretty big for them as well. And then Keldon Johnson, I know that is a recent draft pick. I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, but he's at 15 a game. So they did get some new blood in there.
Oh, yeah, they're playing well. In the East, it would be what? Probably a 4 seed.
Let's see, 16 and 11. They'd be a 3 seed. They have a better record than Milwaukee.
Yeah.
It just doesn't... you can't eliminate conferences, but goodness, if there's a league that needs
they need to, what's the word, realign them, do something else. It just doesn't make sense. You would think Harden went to the East, KD's now in the East, but they went to the same team, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
Who else went to the East recently? I think that's it. That's big names. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Embiid has risen up to be a super duper star.
But yeah, they're still kind of in the same spot. There's 2-3 teams that are pretty good, and the rest are just
Right. I think it's also really interesting because. The NHL recently redid their conferences because Detroit, the Red Wings, were playing in the Western Conference somehow. For years. They were until 2015. No one looked at the map.
Makes no sense.
But I don't really know if there's anything the NBA could do on that line. But I don't know. Maybe just figure it out or change up the divisions or something.
Yeah.
But
I'm trying to think. It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. Golden State, Steph Curry. It's fun to watch Steph Curry be his own team again. He is playing really well. He's playing 2016 Steph Curry. Just having fun. Yeah. Is Denver or Dallas the more disappointing Western team?
I think Denver. Because even though I had high hopes for Dallas, I just think Denver, especially at the run they made last year, you'd figure they would be in the top 3. And the players they have, even... how Nikola Jokic is playing. He's playing phenomenal.
Yeah,
they're still not up there.
Well, and now you're looking at their numbers, right? Jokic, Jokic is, I mean, I know we throw out like MVP season like a little too often, but with NBA it's genuine, LeBron is genuine. Jokic is going 27 points a game, 11 rebounds a game, and 9 assists a game, just about. That's insane.
That's crazy. That's LeBron numbers right there.
That's insane. And once again, looking pudgy and the most unathletic person doing it. I think what last year we were talking about, someone at one of our NBA watch parties was just like, this guy's so attractive. Like, which guy's the hottest guy in the NBA? And I pulled up Nikola Jokic. I was like, here you go. This is your man. Jamal Murray, though, and Michael Porter taking step backs, and Michael Porter being injured a bit and having inconsistent minutes. I mean, it's just... Michael Porter, I feel like, is the key to that team. Obviously, Jamal Murray... I guess I should re-clarify. Jamal Murray taking a big step forward last year was the reason that, because Jokic has obviously always been great, but Denver could be a top 3 team in the West and in the league at large if Jamal Murray was that consistent number 2 superstar, right? Yeah. If Jamal Murray could rival Harden on most nights, or those secondary options.
And he seems to do it in the playoffs.
Yes, that's true.
So, I mean, that's the upside. You can look at that. Well, at least he does it in the playoffs when it matters, but, like, if you don't make the playoffs, what does it matter? If you're borderline there, like, you need to step it up.
But that's the difference, I guess, between the West and the East, because Denver, 15-13, they'd be in 4th place in the East, right?
That's crazy.
And right now, they really have to pick it up. I mean, they're not too far out. They're a couple games back of the Suns for the 5 seed, but right now, they're playing Memphis in the play-in tournament.
Yeah.
And then the winner of that goes and plays Utah. Which Denver could beat Utah, they have before 100%, but like it's just that if they're turning on for the playoffs, I think there's also a larger conversation of when you can turn it on for playoffs, right?
Yeah, and if you're also Denver, you don't want to roll the dice of being the 7 or 8 seed because you might have to play the Lakers depending how that works. So like, I think they need to figure it out, like you said, just figure out when to turn it on. I don't know if teams are going at it more strategically this season because of the short season and the way everything's rolling out. I don't know.
Right. Where are you, though, with teams turning it on? Because that's something we heard all the time with the Clippers last year. And then, like, do you have to win something first? Do you have to have a player that's won something first? So, for instance, the Nets would qualify because Kyrie and Kevin Durant have won it. Like, I'm just wondering because, like the Lakers doing it now, and I'm giving them a pass because they won it last year, so they know what they're doing.
I think it's more player-related for me. Like, LeBron James, especially after last year, he deserves to chill out a bit. Like, come on. Especially rush season. And I do think it's player-based. I don't think the Nuggets are at the level where they are like, oh, we can chill out. And they're definitely not at that level. I think in the West, there's only 2 teams that maybe you could make an argument for that. It's obviously the Lakers. And then the Clippers because Kawhi wins. But the rest of the Clippers, like, you guys don't need to prove yourselves.
Paul George, especially. Like that was the question last year, was like, will Kawhi be able to lead these guys like that into that? And it turns out they did not. They got upset in the semifinals. Yeah, so for the conference finals.
I'm not totally against it. I respect it. It's hard to play at a high level for 72 games like this season or 82 in a regular season. Just play for that long. It's hard. So I'm not completely against it, but I do think you have to earn it. It's not something that every team can do.
Yeah, it's kind of where I am with the Bucks as well, because the Bucks are kind of just meandering through the season. It's like you still haven't won anything.
Yeah, you haven't done anything. You haven't made it out of the East.
Finals. Yeah, made it out of the one, as we keep highlighting, one of the worst Easts in the league's history, honestly, for the last 5 years. And then talking about Dallas, I mean, they've just struggled with injuries. Kristaps Porzingis is somebody I will never give up on because I just remember watching him fully healthy in New York and just like, okay, 7'3" people can shoot threes now. Like, this is incredible. And I still think his game is incredible, but at this point, the injuries are the injuries, right?
Yeah,
they are what they are.
It's tough. Like, the type of injuries he's had, they always seem to come back and linger around there. It's difficult, but I still haven't lost hope on them. I like them as a team. They're fun to watch, and obviously Luka's playing great, but I think they need that one piece also. They need another person there to help them out.
Yeah, so Luka, just for reference, 29, 9, and 9. I mean, again, just incredible numbers across the board there, but you have KP as the second leading scorer. He's missed 10 games, which equates to about 2/5 of the season. And then you have your third leading scorer is Tim Hardaway. 4th is Josh Richardson, and then the 5th is Jalen Brunson. And it's just like, okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think they found the hardest thing to find in the league is a true superstar, which is Luka. But I mean, I don't know that the KP trade, they give up 2 first-round picks for him, right?
Yeah, that's a lot.
It doesn't look great now.
Especially not being like 100%, like having those previous injuries. Yeah, it doesn't look that good. But hopefully they figure it out.
I agree. Zion in New Orleans. I don't really know what New Orleans is doing because it's just a weird team fit.
I feel like people, especially the media, they just kind of like got off of Zion. Like the last year was like Zion. They saw everything he would do. Like, oh, look at Zion. But now it's just like,
that's LaMelo now.
Yeah, it's LaMelo now.
It really is. Honestly, I think it is. I mean, Zion's averaging 25 a game.
That's crazy. I did not know that.
But I mean,
him.
I think their team though is just so weird. You have the starting 5 basically of Lonzo, Bledsoe, Zion, Brandon Ingram, and then the immortal Steven Adams.
Yeah.
I shouldn't even say immortal. I don't even think Steven Adams is 30 yet. Think about that. Let's see.
That team's full of great role players.
Yes.
Like
Steven Adams is 27? What?
That makes no sense.
He's been in the league for like 30 years.
I feel like he was in the league for 7 years back when he was in OKC.
Wait, what did he look like in college? Hang on. Now I'm just going.
I think he had shorter hair.
Because like if he looks like that when he's 27, I mean you're not. He's literally like 3 years older than you are. I mean, like you have an impressive beard and everything, but
he looks like a man.
Oh, so yeah, if he grew out his beard, he'd still So it's the beard, right?
So the beard that makes you look weathered and old.
Because that's him as a rookie with a terrible porn stash. Discuss. Okay, Steven Adams deep dive is done. But yeah, it's just like a team of, and then they got Stan Van coaching there, right? You know, my favorite, Stan Van Gundy, as you know. It's just, I don't know, it's just such a weird fit. But you're right, there's a lot of role players, right?
Yeah, like I heard they were thinking of moving some players to other teams too, which not a bad idea. Get some picks, you know. Like I love JJ Redick, but like he
doesn't fit on that.
He doesn't fit on this team. Well, I think he's useless on this team. He's a good player, but like on this team, like it makes no sense.
Right? Yeah, because I was gonna say, I'm correcting myself. He fits on every team because that's JJ Redick's role is the 3-point swingman. Like he fits on every team, but in this, his timeline doesn't make sense with this team. It's a growing team type thing. Is there anybody else for the bottom of the West you wanted to focus on?
No, I think just the Timberwolves kind of like it's kind of sad for them too. Their players, D'Angelo Russell and Karl-Anthony Towns, haven't been able to play a lot of games together. But for them, the upside is Anthony Edwards has been playing really well. Their
pick goes to Golden State, doesn't it?
Really?
For D'Angelo Russell.
I think so. Yeah.
What a disaster.
Yeah.
That's a terrible trade. I mean, I don't know how good this draft class is. I haven't been looking. I need to, actually, since the Pistons are so bad.
Yeah, college basketball has been weird in itself.
I mean, Towns has been injured. He's been out for a while. But, like, I mean, a point guard's giving you 19 a game like D'Angelo Russell is, and you trade up 10. I believe it's top 3 protected, maybe, or top 2 protected, something like that. But still, they're the worst team in the league. That's a disaster of a thing to be able to have that happen. That's crazy. But Minnesota's just been so inept.
Yeah.
Ineptly wrong.
Always.
It literally always. If you think about it, if they don't have Kevin Garnett, what has Minnesota done as a franchise?
Yeah, nothing.
Its entire existence.
They had that one, like when Jimmy Butler went and played with them for like that 1 or 2 years or whatever it was.
And they had Wiggins, but dumped him. Like it just, if you like, the existence of that franchise has just been terrible. Like I mean, I think they've talked about even the possibility of selling as well. I believe the owner.
Kind of makes sense. I don't know how great the fan base is there, but I feel like they would thrive somewhere else, like a Vegas or Seattle.
Seattle especially, yeah. Seattle, I don't know. We can't do Seattle Timberwolves, but figure something else out for that one, right? Okay, once this loads, I'm gonna throw some NBA Finals odds at you. All right. Okay. And I'll give you the top. I don't know, maybe 8, and you let me know what's interesting to you from. Are these updated? Because the Nets are really high. Let's see. Oh, this is before the season. Sorry, everybody. But I don't like who. Okay, so we'll start with this. Who do you think should be the favorite?
Lakers. The Lakers, and then I think I would give it to the Lakers, and then I would do. I think the Lakers and the Nets were up there, and then the Bucks.
Okay.
And then I don't know from there.
Okay, these ones are updated. This is from February, I think. Yeah, it is. Okay. Lakers are plus 220.
Okay.
So almost a double the favorite of over the Brooklyn Nets, who are 4-1. Clippers 11-2.
That's I don't know. I don't agree with that one.
Bucks 15-2.
Okay.
Jazz 12-1. Sixers 14-1. Celtics 20-1. Nuggets 30-1. So obviously for those last two, they're thinking they're going to turn it on and play really well as the season draws to a close.
Yeah, and then for the Jazz, they think they're going to keep it rolling.
Yeah, they have the Jazz as the fifth best or sixth best team in the league. Or no, fifth best team in the league, which is, I would put Philly above that just because of the path.
Yeah.
You think Utah has to go through both LA teams to possibly get there?
If I would throw in like $20 in the Sixers there. Just throw it in there.
14-1. Yeah. If you think about it, I mean, what has Giannis shown in the playoffs that he can do? Yeah. Great player, but what has he shown?
Yeah, especially when you're if you're going up against Embiid.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good matchup, and you're not going to score much.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do you have an MVP right now?
I think LeBron.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he should have won it last year.
Yeah.
And then he's playing at the same level this year while kind of just chilling out. I think you got to give it to him this year. Yeah, but also Embiid has been playing really well too. So I think those are my top two guys. But I think LeBron still.
I was gonna say because it has to be either one of those guys because Giannis isn't winning 3 years in a row.
No.
That just doesn't happen anymore. No matter how well he plays,
Yeah, they won't give it to him.
Luka's on a losing team. Jokic's team, the 8th seed, is not good enough, and so it's got to be either Embiid or LeBron. Maybe Damian Lillard. Maybe, but then LeBron's just going to take that over him, I think.
People were saying Curry, but
7th seed.
He's scoring a lot. I think it would be awesome to see LeBron just win it.
Yeah,
that'd be crazy.
I mean, he's now 37 and still doing the same thing. 38, same exact thing.
It's been 8 years since he won his last one. Just to think about that, 8 years since you won your MVP, and you're gonna win it again.
So that would be 2013. He didn't win any in Cleveland, right? Oh, I guess because Steph. That was when Steph really started to go
going off.
Well, the second time in Cleveland, I should say. I know he won in Cleveland the first time around, obviously. But wow, that's crazy. You have anything else you want to talk about from this NBA season so far?
No.
You don't want to talk about your Orlando Magic?
It's been rough, and obviously injuries, but
I don't want to talk about my Pistons. It's okay.
It sucks for that team. Obviously, we didn't expect to be top of the East, but especially how bad the East was. I expect them to be 5 or 6 seed this year because we always, well, not always, but for the past 3-4 years we've been 7 or 8 and just barely getting in. But I thought this season I'm like, okay, we're gonna make a run, and Nikola Vucevic is playing phenomenal. Mm-hmm. He's playing really well. And Terrence Ross is playing well too, but then there's just injuries have been setting us back. Aaron Gordon has been out half the season. Yep. We started 6-2, and I'm like, this is good. This is a great start. And then Cole Anthony got injured and went on a 4-game losing streak.
Yep.
Not Cole Anthony. Markelle Fultz, my bad. Yeah. And then Cole Anthony was a backup, and then Cole Anthony got injured, so he's injured right now. So for one of the games, we didn't have a point guard. We were playing the Warriors, and Terrence Ross was bringing up the ball. It was so bad. And
why am I even watching this?
I put this on my Instagram. It was so bad. They're starting 5 for the second half. It was Nikola Vucevic, Terrence Ross, Dwayne Bacon.
What a name. Dwayne Bacon.
And,
what a name.
Yeah, and I forgot who the other 2 players were, but it was just bad.
Yeah.
But some part of me wants them to just tank, just because at this point, what's the point of sneaking into the playoffs again? It just makes no sense to sneak into the playoffs again. But then there's players like Nikola Vucevic that just want to make an effort and don't want to.
Right. Eventually, they're gonna have to trade Vucevic just because his timeline's probably not gonna match up with the rest of the team, right?
Yeah, because now it doesn't match up, but I don't know where he would go.
Yeah, neither do I. I mean, I'm not sure either, but I mean, something to monitor, I guess, as another weird NBA season. The season isn't going to, the playoffs are going to be around the same time they usually are, right?
Yeah.
It's not okay, just double checking. So yeah, we'll keep monitoring this stuff. We'll keep talking about it. Maybe
we'll circle back and see how it went down.
After the terrible All-Star game that's going to happen.
I mean, do you think it's going to happen 100%? Or do you think last minute, because it's a month away about a month away.
They said March 7th, so it's got
A little
3
bit
weeks.
less than a month, yeah. So, I mean...
I'd say no.
Yeah, I feel like the last week... Because right now, usually there's more buzz around it. I feel like the last week, a lot of the players, like, LeBron already doesn't want to be a part of it. And if you don't have 100% his enthusiasm, like, what's the point? And I feel like a lot of other players are just going to be like, what's the point? We don't want to risk getting injured. We don't want to risk this. I still think they'll go through with doing a 3-point contest and whatnot, but I feel like the All-Star game is not going to happen.
Players usually don't decline, right? Like in the Pro Bowl, for instance, people will be like, I'm good. Like at the end of the football season.
No, no one declines.
Okay.
If you're injured, you don't play and someone gets replaced, but you don't, not certain. Like, no, I don't want to play, give it to someone else. They never do that.
That could be interesting to monitor.
Yeah.
For this, at least this one. Because, I mean, it makes sense. Like, especially if you're like a Laker or you're a Heat player. Or even the Celtics who are in the Eastern Conference Finals or the Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals, right? I mean, like, it means some time off, with how crazy and how crazy. And I think we all sometimes, need some time off from all of our jobs. So I understand that as well. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. We'll see just how the NBA has kind of struggled a little bit with some COVID stuff. We'll see how that continues to progress as the vaccines start to get rolled out here. And I'm ready for. Football's over. I'm ready for basketball.
Good.
March Madness coming up. It's time to get into the thick of the season, and I'm switching over now. The hats are switching over. I'm excited.
Perfect. Yeah. It's a good talk.
Yeah. Thanks for coming out, man.
Of course, bro.